I just want to bring in Peter Moroney now, who's a former detective, who's you'd probably feel like you've seen it all during your time, your service, Peter. But then we just have the worst terror attack, or the biggest mass shooting this country has seen since Port Arthur.
Yeah, look, you're right. Look, I've worked probably nearly 8 to 10 years in the terrorism field, and I've been very lucky to work in and around the world and doing studies and investigations. And it's one of those things, and I don't mean anything rude by it, where it's always happened overseas. It's never really happened here. Yes, we've had other types of incidents, such as Lint and Westfields at Bondi, but this one, and just due to its iconic nature of where we are, due to just the indiscriminate murdering of 16 people in the manner in which they did it, just silences you.
Given your experience and like you pointed out, all of your work in the field over the years, how long does it take a community to recover? What can folks expect here?
It's a good question, Pete. I don't think you will ever recover. I think a lot depends on the individuals at hand. Look, as you said previously, some 18 months ago, we were dealing with the similar issues at Westfields, at Bondi. I'd imagine the Bondi community are very resilient. I imagine the Jewish community, they've been fighting things for many years, so they're exceptionally resilient. But I don't think they'll ever recover. I think it's going to put a dent in the fabric of who they are, but hopefully it won't define them, and they'll use that, grow from that, and move forward.
Let's get to your thoughts from an operational point of view now. I mean, from the police force, how good was it? So there's a station here, fortunately, so they were able to move here as fast as possible. They mentioned earlier it was a 10-minute response time. Is that as good as it could be?
Yeah, look, and certainly the inquiries to come, they will certainly examine that. There is no doubt. There's a lot of unknowns at the moment, so it'd be unfair for me to make any commentary on the police. But what I can say, and to help some of the viewers keep it in perspective, if you can imagine, we've all seen the footage, the sheer volume of information that comes in. And it's well-intended information, but it can be wrong information, particularly when you've got the offenders on the move as they were. That then also adds to those compounding issues, the traffic, people running everywhere. But look, the coronial inquiries, and I have no doubt there will be some sort of commission of inquiry into why did this happen, and I'm very confident they'll look at that.
Let's get to some of the whys then. As we heard a little earlier too, 6 firearms. Is that unusual or not?
Yeah, I think it depends on who you ask, Pete. If you ask me, no. I am a licensed gun owner. There are people that I know that have upwards of 10, 15, 20 different firearms. But it's perspective here in the sense that, look, myself, I have a couple of firearms. I live on property, so I have them for that particular reason. If we look at this individual, and again, this will come out, we've got to look at potentially the reason as to why did he have those weapons. That will be telltale in terms of his application. The reason, whether, for example, the reasons he put clearly versus the reasons to which he's
So you would have to write out what you want to use the guns for?
Yeah, generally there would be a ticker box exercise in terms of New South Wales. So, for example, is it as part of a club, is it to go hunting, for example? So there'll be certain reasons you tick, certain weapons get put to certain categories. And, of course, I'm generalising. There's a lot more to it. But, yeah, you do need that level of detail. If I was to turn around today and say I'd like to buy a gun, I can't actually do that for another 30 days. I can submit that I intend to purchase a weapon, but there is around about a 30-day cooling off period before I can get it.
And just in terms of moving forward, I'm going to throw it back to Kieran in just a moment, but I'd like your thoughts on this. John Howard famously came forward with gun reform post Port Arthur, right? Yep. Is it as simple as doing that again? Or is it different now because times have changed? We're seeing daily occurrences of gang crime on the streets of Sydney, and it just seems to me that there are so many weapons out there. I mean, has the horse bolted on that kind of stuff?
Again, the inquiry is going to certainly examine that. Without Port Arthur and without what John Howard did, I think we'd be in a worse position. So what we've got to do is come back and look at now, and yesterday is going to be a telling incident in terms of what calibre, what type of weapons were they? Are there additional controls that we can put into obtaining those weapons? Are there additional controls we can put into who gets these types of weapons? I'm sure that'll all be looked at, and then that'll help reform process and movement as we go ahead.
Limits work?
That's a good point, Peter. Well, I suppose even, and with all due respect, and yesterday's only quite fresh, even if we limited him to 2 weapons, he's still got 2.
Sure. Fair point. Peter Moroney, the former detective, appreciate your insights this morning.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining.